Hey everybody, it's Joel, aka The Daily Guru, and it's time for This Week in Music History. Beginning on March 25th, though most people are unaware, it was actually on that day in 1960 that Roy Orbison entered the studio to record his classic song, Only the Lonely. 7 years later, on that exact same day, The Who played their first concert ever in the United States at a gig in New York City. And 12 years later, the mighty Van Halen released their amazing record, Van Halen 2. March 26th, 1969 is one of the most significant days in music and cultural history, as it was the day that John Lennon and Yoko Ono began their famous bed-in Amsterdam. But when it comes to turning points in popular music, March 27th, 1958 might take the prize. That was the date that CBS Labs announced their invention of stereophonic recording, forever changing the entire experience of music. When it comes to actual recordings, March 28th is a massively important date. In 1958, that was the day that Eddie Cochran recorded Summertime Blues, and 9 years later on that day, Van Morrison was in the studio doing a little song called Brown Eyed Girl. March 30th of 1967 saw both the staging and the photographing of the legendary cover for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and 9 years later, the Sex Pistols played their first ever show at the 100 Club in London. On March 31st, 1958, Chuck Berry released his version of Johnny Be Good, and simply put, the world has never been the same since. Finally, on that date in 1964, the Beatles set a record that has never since been achieved, as they simultaneously held all 5 of the top spots on the US singles charts. So those are some of the biggest events that occurred this week in music history. We'll see you again next week.